this is actually a perfect question for today because I've been thinking so much about it. We have a 4-month-old. When you have a baby, shakes your morning routine up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and night and day and
yeah, absolutely. Like I look at my videos now online, I'm like, I see the bags. I see them. Like I did not have those 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a good man, you're trying to help your wife. It's not easy. She's got 2 other young ones as well, and you got to step up and help. Right?
Absolutely. I think too often as men, we just go, she's got it.
Yeah,
she's got it. She doesn't got it. Like you
role.
need to be there.
Yeah.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Eric Gubler. I'm here today on the Solid Podcast, episode 42, which is cool because it's Jackie Robinson's number, I think. Fact check me on that. So we're going to go over a lot of things today, family, fitness, a little bit, health, routines through that, day-to-day, kind of some vulnerable things that I went through in my life a couple years ago. And something really big that changed my life and helped me find more purpose in life to be a better individual. And now all I want to do really is just help others become the best version of themselves.
Yeah, guys, Eric did a great job today, and he's a humble guy, so he's not going to brag about himself, but tons of success as a family man, first of all, as a human being, and also in business. So he does very, very well and has a great reputation in the area we live in and out there in the world we live in today. So it was a great conversation. Yeah.
Amazing conversation today. I think you guys are going to love this one. You're going to get so much out of it in all areas of life. And if you guys can remember, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Let's get this one out there. And thank you guys for all the reviews and all the support you give us. We really appreciate it. And remember, stay solid.
We're excited to have you on, buddy.
Cool.
It's good to officially meet you personally.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen a lot about you. I've heard a lot about you. So excited to have you here.
Yeah.
Have you seen what we do with Solid, with our podcast? Do you
I've
know
seen
what we're
some
about
of
a
your
little
podcast
bit?
episodes just because I'm out. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
So you kind of know what we're about, our whole mission, and we just
I know a little.
Okay.
So I don't feel like
Well, no. I mean, we just look for solid guys and gals to be on with us. Have good family lives, good good work ethic. They're successful in many areas of their life, and we love it when people share what they're doing to live a solid life. The ups, the downs, the whatever. So
yeah, cool.
Anyway, yeah. But tell us,
that's my jam. I love it. Yeah, it's
cool.
awesome.
Cool. Yeah. No, I know you're a passionate guy. So tell us about yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I would say passionate is a good thing, like a good word to describe me. A lot of that I feel like came from 3 years ago. I almost died in an accident. It's coming up on 4 years. Gosh. So a little bit about me. I'm in real estate, so that's my main thing. But I own a moving company, and we have a few other little things. That's storage. Also, that's not a little thing, but storage units. That goes along with moving, and then real estate. But almost 4 years ago, I actually sold a lady's house, and I was moving her personally to California with one other guy. And I remember when we were loading her truck, we had a propane tank that was in there was 2 propane tanks that were sitting outside the truck. And I said, I'm so sorry, like we can't take those. And she's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like could cause an issue. And so we kept those in the garage and we kept going. Well, we put the grill on, the grill that she had for the propane tanks. We put it on. We kept going. So she had this nice place for us in Palm Springs, California. It was like a resort right on a golf course, beautiful views, sick pad. And we're like, we're living the life. Like we're out, just me and this other guy are friends. We're going to go unload the next morning. It's not even that much stuff. Like this is easy. Have a nice dinner, wake up the next morning, go to the truck, ready to unload. And all this propane is like seeping out of the cracks of the truck. And I'm like, crap. How did a propane tank get in there? Like I saw them in the garage. Like how is that in there? And I thought to myself, it must have been inside. You know how grills have like the cover that you have to open to like get, where the propane tank is? Well, it had a cover on top of it to protect it from the weather. And then nobody took the cover off, opened the door to see if there was propane in there. So it must have leaked the whole time and all night. So I literally lift up the back of the truck. All this propane's like seeping out. And I'm like, I got to go turn that thing off. That was my first thought. Stupid thought, but that was my first thought.
Yeah.
So I knew where it was. It was right in the middle. And I started climbing over stuff. And by the time I got there, I had developed so much static electricity all over my body climbing over stuff that when I touched the cover and lifted it up, if you can imagine, like most of the propane is right in that cover. It's just a mushroom, like collecting all the propane. I saw the spark from my finger. I still remember it. And so the static electricity from my body ignited all the fumes in the truck around me.
Dang.
Blew me out like almost like a gun, because it's just there's only one way out.
Like a movie scene.
Yeah.
Dang.
So it throws me, and then I kind of helped kick myself out of the truck because I don't know what's going on. Like at that point, I didn't know if I was going to see, if I had limbs, if fingers were missing. I didn't know what was going on. It was fight or flight. Long story short, I've already made it a little bit long, but long story short is they life flighted me to San Bernardino, California. And as I'm in the helicopter, I think to myself, like I'm literally like going into shock, barely conscious. And then it just got quiet in my mind, like silent. Didn't hear anything around me, what they were talking about, just complete quiet. And I had the thought, if you were to die right now, because these people are telling you that you could have had it in your lungs and you could die at any moment, would you be happy with the life that you lived so far? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I'm a failure feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, yeah, I'm like a total waste of space. It was just like lack of intention.
I got more inside of me.
I got more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that totally changed my mindset. There was things that I was doing in my life right at that time in my life that I needed to change. Yeah. And I knew I needed to change it.
Yeah.
But I think God needed to give me the push.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to give me a little push and say like, hey, don't waste this. Like, don't waste this life, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is a gift.
Yep.
And I know that you like, if you can just like see that, you're going to do awesome things and you're going to take people along with you to do awesome things.
So you were 27, 28 when this happened? Yeah.
Were you married? Kids?
Married. One little girl and one on the way. My wife was pregnant.
Wow.
And were you like hair burned off and stuff and everything? Or?
Yep.
Yeah,
so I had a hat on. So
Yeah.
where I had my hat, my hair was singed all through here, like gone here.
Okay.
Eyebrows gone, beard gone.
Wow.
Hair all over arms, legs. I had shorts on, gone. 2nd-degree burns on all of my limbs. Luckily, I turned my head. My hat kind of caught the initial blast, so I don't have.
Saved your face a little.
Yeah. But yeah.
Dang, dude.
Wow. Painful, like super painful, or how? I mean, I would imagine.
So fight or flight, I couldn't feel anything in my head.
Okay.
Like all of the
A couple of days after.
the emotion, yeah, but no, even just like an hour.
Wow.
It like all sunk in. I'm like, this freaking hurts.
Yeah.
But PTSD was probably the hardest thing after. Just like I'm going into this truck thinking nothing's going to happen, and then it happens, and then I think everything's going to blow up around me.
Yeah.
Wow.
My brain told me that everything could blow up.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Amazing, man.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What a story.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's always like it seems like a lot of people make decisions in life. Unfortunately, we have to get usually our backs against the wall some way, right? Something happens where it's like, man, life could be over that.
Yeah, what the heck,
quick,
man?
or-
I'm gonna ask God one day, why did you make us that way?
I know,
why couldn't we just but then we couldn't be like him one day. So I guess
Yeah.
I get it. I know why he didn't, but
It's tough, right? It is. It's almost like, you see people that maybe don't have themselves in those situations, and they just kind of like eke their way through life, just mediocrity and average, and it's maybe because nothing ever actually shook them up, enough to be like, you have more inside of you, right? So prior to that point, lived in St. George your whole life, is that right?
Yeah.
So you graduated high school. Did you go to college?
Went to college.
Okay, what'd you go to college for?
Exercise science.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and then you graduated college. Then
where'd you
what?
go?
Dixie.
Dixie, okay.
Okay.
So I went to Dixie and got my associates. I had 1 year left for my bachelor's, and that's when I decided to be an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I was a good student. I was a 3.98 through my associates. Got 1 A-, worked hard. And then I realized, what am I doing this for? Like, I'm going to school and I'm getting these good grades, and like I'm making the same amount of money. I'm in the same spot. I don't feel like it's helping me network and grow. But the thing that was like the biggest thing for me in college was I went and looked at I was going to be an occupational therapist. Mm-hmm. So I went and studied or worked at the hospital IHC here in town for a year. And I started asking the PTs, OTs, like, how much do you make starting out? They're like $60,000. I'm like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, I did door-to-door sales, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Why would you go do that? Yeah.
why would I go spend $50,000 to get to your point when I could just go knock doors and
Make that in the summer.
right now? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up. So you're doing door-to-door sales.
Yeah.
What were you selling?
Pest control.
Okay. So you're selling pest control. At what age were you doing that at?
That was a year after my mission. So came home 21. I was 22.
Okay.
22, 23, right in there.
Okay, cool. So you went on a mission as well. Mm-hmm. Where'd you go on your mission?
Orlando, Florida. Yeah.
All right. Good place to be.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So you get back from mission, you go do door-to-door sales. Did you do well?
I did. Yeah, I did. Oh, so in my office, I was I don't mean this like brag or anything. It was true. I was the number one rep.
Yeah.
In the office.
Well, that's awesome. So what made you decide to do door-to-door sales?
I had a buddy. I guess the point here is who, right? Like your who's.
Yep.
So I hung out with a guy that did it the year before, and he's like, dude, you should try this out. It's not a scam. Everybody says it is, but like it's not. You should just do it. It's hard, but do it. It's like, you go out this year. If you make money, come back the next year. I'll do it with you. And he did. And I was like, dude, I know. We're both competitive people. And I was like, I can compete with you. Let me give it a try.
That's awesome.
That's how I got going.
Good deal. Yeah. Your mindset, did you get some of this from your parents? Just is that, I mean, your competitive nature, your money.
I have 5 brothers.
Okay.
So
older, younger, where do you fit in?
I'm second.
All right.
My older brother probably gave it to me because I always felt like him being 2 years older, a little bit bigger, seemed like a lot of times a little bit stronger, weighed more. So like he could wrestle me and pin me down. And so I just always felt like I had a chip on my shoulder. And then the other thing is like when we played baseball and sports, I was a big baseball guy growing up. Yeah. My dad would, instead of having to travel 2 different places, he just stuck me with my brother. So I was playing 2 years up.
Yeah.
And so it just naturally made me push harder to try and compete with those guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like in the book, The Outliers. Have you ever read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
No, but I've heard of it, yeah.
He talks about that in hockey. 99% of all professional hockey players are born in February, and it's because of where their birthday lands. It allows them to have to kind of compete up and then more likely to make it to playoff games and all this kind of stuff, so they get more practice and over time. But it sounds like that's what your dad did to you.
Yeah.
Probably unintentionally, just making it easier on his life.
Just making it easier on him, but it forced me to kind of punch up and just keep working harder to get up there.
That's awesome. So it sounds like, did your dad play sports? Did he play baseball when
he was
young?
a pitcher for BYU.
Awesome.
So yeah, he loved baseball, and that's why I love baseball. I want to be like my dad.
That's awesome. What did he or does he do for work?
So he's been retired since he was 45. Unique situation. Like I've never heard it since, and maybe there's got to be somebody that did. But he had a wealthy dad. He inherited a lot of money, but my dad was smart with it and invested it in real estate, land. The land crazy appreciated, we'll say, and they sold it and bought commercial property, and he just lives off those checks.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's probably...
What did your grandpa do?
He was one of the owners of Rocky Mountain Food Co.
Really?
Yep. He was the vice president.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's probably where some of the financial desire came from, motivated financially.
For him?
For you.
For me, yes. For him, no.
Yeah.
He is the most and I love my dad. Like we're way close. He's so passive.
Yeah.
But I love this about my dad because I feel like I'm a mix of my grandpa and my dad. My grandpa was hungry, but maybe too hungry. He didn't spend enough time with his family. My dad had that for his dad, and he's just like, I just want to spend time with my kids because I missed that time that I didn't get with my dad.
Interesting.
Yep.
And so he set his life up intentionally on purpose to just be like, he was home every day.
Wow.
Like when
familiar.
Yeah.
When I was home, he was home. And we would go, like I was homeschooled growing up. That's another thing about me I haven't mentioned.
Okay.
So like I was around my dad all the time and my mom. But we'd go some days, like kids are in school, it's 12:30, and like, hey, you want to go hit the field? I'm like, heck yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm down. So it was a very unique upbringing for me, I feel like.
Do you homeschool back then? Now it's a little more becoming the common thing to do for more families today than it was back then.
Yeah. It was taboo.
It was taboo. I mean, how do you feel? I mean, did you like that you were homeschooled? Do you see some benefits to that? Do you go, man, I wish it was different? What was it like?
Yeah, I think both. You can't fully win in either one, and I think there's win-lose situations in both.
Okay.
And I've done both because at some point, I had some high school and then college and stuff. So just being around it, I think the homeschool side, you avoid a lot of crap.
Yep.
That the world has to offer. The thing that I feel like a lot of people do wrong that my parents, I don't feel like did wrong. I feel like they got us out through sports and a lot, but so many homeschoolers just think it's all bad. And so I'm just going to shelter my kids.
Yep.
And that's the rap that a lot of people get for like, oh, you're weird, you're awkward, you're socially awkward, whatever. That plus in reality, I think some of them are just socially awkward anyway. They try to go to school and they get bullied.
Yeah.
And then they pull them out because they can't hack it.
Right? Yeah.
So I think it's both of those things. And then the other thing is it's like on the public school side, I think you get the social and you get to hang out with your friends. But I think you're in school too long. You don't need to be there 7-8 hours a day.
Yep.
Like you get done in that time, I think in 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, it's
Easy.
a program designed
Definitely.
to create employees.
It's glorified babysitting with, glorified to like be just work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
social aspect too, right? I mean, you learn how to be more social probably when you're going to school. And I mean, not that you're not going to if you're at home, but there's a difference there too.
100%.
You got to learn how to.
I think, like you said, that's where sports comes into play.
Yeah,
so
have to.
Funny you say this because so my dad was never around. So I sold my business a couple of years ago with the desire to spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems it's very common for parents to kind of do the opposite of what they had. Right. So it's like, it seems like that's what's happened to you. So what is your perspective on that? So, your grandpa was focused on becoming wealthy, did it, set his family up for generations, which is awesome, gave you an opportunity to spend a ton of time with your dad. He was the opposite. So what's your perspective on it as a dad?
I'm pushing to be done every day by 3.
Okay.
That's what I want to do so that I have that time. But the other thing is I feel like, money doesn't buy happiness, but everything in life that makes me happy costs money. And I feel like if you don't have money, then you restrict a lot of the experiences and the things that you can experience here in this world. I mean, I think sometimes we get so in our own box of like St. George, Utah, or Western United States, or United States. Like the world is vast.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go travel. Well, what does that take? Well, it takes money.
Yeah.
Like you can't go fly to Japan and like take your whole family if you don't have money.
Yeah.
Yep. No
But
doubt.
I think it's awesome experience for them and me and us as a family collectively. And
For sure.
the other thing that we're big on with that is like we have a nanny. So that we can go on date nights consistently as a couple. That's been huge for us.
Full-time nanny or just kind of part-time?
It's a part-time. So there's 3 days a week that she comes to give my wife support so that she can get the things done that she needs to and not feel overstressed at home.
Yeah.
It's been a game changer.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many kids do you have?
We have 3. So we have a 5, 3, and a 4-month-old.
Oh, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, the fun times.
That's awesome. We
really
have 3 as well. So and they're right now 8, 6, and 4. So
Yeah.
you're
like 2.
every 2 years. Yeah.
Time to go again, Jeff.
No, I'm done. I fixed that for sure. It's like, say you're done or you're really done. I'm really done.
You're really done.
I got it fixed for sure. Impossible. Well, I guess. Supposedly
99%.
yeah, for sure.
So what's your daily schedule nowadays, or what have you learned throughout the years? I mean, you're successful in business. You've got some successful investments going. You got a great family. What's your routine? I mean,
I love this question.
How do you set up your life? What do you? You've obviously designed your life. You haven't just reacted to life. You've designed it and created it. I can tell. So I'd like to hear what you do because I think it's easier to find somebody who maybe doesn't have a family that's successful in business. And sometimes, right?
Or people that you see a lot of times start having success and they blow up their lives en route to success, right? So they maybe made money and then you look at the backstory and go, oh, they got a divorce later on, or they got a divorce during, or they never saw their kids grow up and, never saw my parents or whatever. You see that. It's pretty common, right? So you see a lot of people, maybe they had a okay life, but at some point they blow it up with drugs or alcohol or some kind of addiction. So I think you see that a lot as well.
Yeah, I mean, our families, that's why we're here, right? Yeah. And that's the whole reason we're here. And if we mess that up, exactly. So I really admire when somebody, I mean, that's the most important thing to me that is in place for somebody. But then I also really, I guess it's fascinating to me when I find someone who has all that in place and they're also doing everything else really well.
It's possible to have it all, right? It
exactly.
is. And I've always said, if you can have it all, you should have it all, right? It's our responsibility. If it's possible, we should go get it, right?
Yeah.
It inspires our family and our kids and everybody else around us.
I agree. I love this question because I felt like this was from my accident that happened. This was the question that I asked so many people. What do you do? Because I believe success leaves clues. And so if somebody's successful, what's your morning routine like? What is your day to day? And how do you think? How do you breathe? How do you react to things?
Yep.
And so it's morphed and grown and evolved over the years. But I wanted to point out, this is actually a perfect question for today because I've been thinking so much about it. We have a 4-month-old. When you have a baby, shakes your morning routine up.
Mm-hmm.
So
and night and day and.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I look at my
Especially if you're a
videos
good
now online,
man.
I'm like, I see the bags. I see them. Like I did not have those 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a good man, you're trying to help your wife. It's
That's
not
right.
easy. She's got 2 other young ones as well, and you got to step up and help. Right?
Absolutely. I think too often as men, we just go, she's got it.
Yeah.
She doesn't got it. Like
It's her
you
role.
need to be there.
Yeah.
Don't believe that bull crap.
It'd be like having to work 24/7. I mean, eventually you need a break sometime.
Yeah,
Yep.
true.
Yep. So I've always been like a 5:30 a.m. riser. This is pre-baby. 5:30 a.m. scripture study, meditation, like 10 minutes, 10 minutes.
Okay.
10-minute scriptures, 10-minute meditation. And I get out to I go eat breakfast. I usually eat the same thing every day. It's usually oatmeal.
Okay.
And then I go out and I have a gym in my garage. I have my Monday through Saturday already planned out. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly how many reps I'm doing. I know what I'm eating. I know.
Do you keep it the same week to week, or do you switch up your workouts each week?
You switch it, not every week, but I switch it up every probably couple months. And I probably should do it more than that.
I don't know. Maybe.
But
I
it's
do the
just
same
a
thing.
consistent thing. And my point is that you just make it consistent. Like I don't have to. 5:30 alarm goes off. I'm like, what am I going to do today? Legs or biceps? Or, and I'm just going back to bed because I'm tired. No, I have it like already ready to go. And then I'm back in. I help my other 2 kids get ready for school. Then I'm off to work, do my thing, come home, spend time with my kids throughout the evening. We always play a game. We have our family prayer, family scripture, put them to bed, and then it's me and my wife time. Okay, so that's like how it was, daily routine, pre-kid.
Pre-baby.
Pre-baby.
Yeah.
And
What time do you go to bed typically?
9:30.
Okay, early, so you can get up early.
Yeah, because
He's a 5:30 riser. Come on,
just
bro.
like me, just like me, dude.
you. He's
I always tell this
an
guy,
old man
that's
too.
the way to live.
Yeah. So
When the sun goes down, you're supposed to go down.
I'm the opposite.
I couldn't stay up longer if I wanted. I'm tired. I'm ready to go to
You're
bed.
up at 5:30.
Yeah, I'm done.
We always talk about this because everybody always brags, I'm a 5 a.m. riser. I'm like, it's because you go to bed at 9 o'clock, right? I mean, if I woke up at 5, I'd be in bed
I'm going to start saying I'm a 9 p.m. sleeper.
It's the same 8 hours. It's just that earlier. Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
Brag about that.
Yeah. So, but I felt like, and I was in a mastermind maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and there was somebody else that brought this up. And I started feeling the same way. Because of the baby, I got to back up a little bit. I felt like my first kid, I wasn't there for my wife. And this is like pre-explosion, right? Mm-hmm. The second kid, I was still learning because it just happened. She was pregnant.
Yep.
This one, I'm like, I'm going to be there. Like,
Intentional.
I'm going to bad A dad. Like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be like, this is going to be a good experience for both of us, all of us. But I feel like, and everybody knows, like having kids, it just throws everything off, your schedule and everything, and you're tired. And babies don't have a schedule yet. So, if you're trying to say, I'm out in the gym by 7, well, not if baby's not okay.
Yeah.
And they're not always okay. So I was at a mastermind, now coming back to where I was, and somebody said that they were in the same position. Couple-month-old baby, and they're like, I just don't know how I'm going to stay consistent. I got all the stuff that I want to do, and I want to get in the gym, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And I'm like, the main thing that you're saying is I. I. It's not about you. And I'd already kind of had this thought before, is like, I feel like I'm failing in my daily routine because I was so dialed before, but I had to catch myself because that's just my habits and my routines, like calling me like, hey, what you like, do what you say you're going to do. When you say you're going to do it, that's important to me. But then I had to tell myself, wait a second, new soundtrack. This is the most important thing that you could be doing in the morning with your time. And it's temporary.
Yep.
Right.
This is the most important. So I kind of, in the front of the room in a nice way, just called him out. I was like, dude, I had the same thought, bro. But that you are doing the most important thing with your time as a dad and for your wife and for your relationship and your family than anything else. Any gym workout, any meditation, whatever. Don't try and justify it. Like, that's where you need to be. So now I wake up at 4:30. So I can get up an hour earlier and get my workout in.
See, this is gut check time, right? And this boy here, he's an anomaly. Like, I don't think he has these same issues that you and I, like early in my marriage too. I think I did a terrible job with my first, for sure. I had the mentality, I'm working my butt off at my business, and I was. And I was providing a great life. And I was, right, in my mind.
Yeah.
And then we have these 2 little girls, right? And first one, the second one. And I kind of had the mindset of, well, that's her role. I'm going to go do my role. And looking back, I go, man, if I would have just been a man instead of a little boy during those times, I would have naturally have that desire to get up. And I didn't think it was my role. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to beat myself up.
I also think you got to give yourself credit the environment, we talk about who we spend time around. The environment most men are around other men that talk about that's how you create success. And if that's what we want, that's naturally what you're going to do.
There was some programming for sure that
right? I think most people, that's what they do. Where I've always just tried to go, like, what causes people to win in this area? What causes someone to win in this area? What causes someone to win in this area? And just go, I don't have to be just like him. Otherwise I lose myself. But I can take what he does a really good job of in that area and use it like a sponge. I can soak everything up, wring out what I don't need, keep what I do, and move forward, And that's I think so good, having someone who's a little bit older than me and going through that, before me and then watching helps, it helps being in an environment of, having that. So I would say that most men, I think it's a normal thing. However, I think that
something to learn, right? And I was talking to my wife about this yesterday. Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's right? There's a lot of normal things out there that doesn't mean that it's okay. Well, most guys do this. Normal guys do this. So that doesn't mean it's okay for you to do it. Right?
Normal to be fat and broke and miserable. That's normal. But it's wrong, right? It's not okay to do. Like, it fires me up. I don't know. This crap happening in the world today. People are so soft, but it's not okay.
Well, even the 9-to-5 workday, like, we're entrepreneurs, right? Like, I look at it and I'm like, well, why do I feel like I need to be at work 9-to-5? And that's why I mentioned, like, I'm trying to be off by 3. That's my goal this year.
Yeah.
Because one of it is screw culture.
Yeah.
Like, who says that I got to be at work till by 5? If I can get it done with 2 hours to spare and be with my kids, why not?
Yes.
Like, it's literally like, and part of it is like, people after 5, they're like, oh, well, it's not a work day, so I can't expect them to answer. Maybe they'll just next business day. I'm like, you should be more intentional about telling people that you're off at 3.
Yeah, I think also, like, when it comes to that, you've got to be real with who you are and how you operate, because I'm just like that, right? I believe if I can get whatever I can get done in the shortest amount of time possible and become more productive, it's better. But there are people who don't thrive that way. It's almost like it causes anxiety for them, where they need this routine and schedule for them to feel like they can thrive, I used to harp on jobs all the time, and I realized, like, there's some people that just need jobs. There are some people that they need to have a 9-to-5, and that's the only way they're going to thrive. I saw some guy post on social media the other day and say, if you want to become wealthy, there's no way you're going to do it as being an employee. And I'm like, I disagree. There's, like, Steve Ballmer was an employee, and now he's one of the richest guys in the world. You know what I mean? There's a lot of very, very rich employees, but they thrive in that environment. I don't, right? I'm like miserable. If someone tells me to show up at 9 o'clock, I show up at 9:30 just because I'm rebellious. It's like the speed limit's a suggestion to me,
For sure.
However, if there's a task to get done, it's like, all right, I'm going to get this task done as good as I can, as fast as I can, so I can move on to the next one, right?
No, I totally agree with that. And the other side of the coin that I'm saying is, like, the priority is my kids.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want somebody telling me, like, same thing going back to, like, why are we in school for so long? It's like, well, there's other priorities that I have that I feel like aren't as important at that time when my kids are home. Like, I should be with my kids.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people aren't, a lot of dads are just okay with being home 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking that at all. I feel like, you still can, like, to your point, you still can have a healthy relationship with your kids being home at 5 or 6. I just want more.
Yeah.
Because I want it.
What are these adjustments you're doing for your relationship with your wife?
All of it. Oh man. Like, we could go deep into the relationship stuff.
Yeah.
But my wife, I could cry right
well,
now.
I just think there's so many people that need to hear this part of it, because this is the stuff, right? This is, anyway, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. My wife is my best friend. And I love her. Like, I can't imagine life without her. And we went through some really rocky times back right around the explosion time, And that kind of goes back to, I was doing some stupid things that I shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was also, I think I was the idiot, but she also needed to learn to communicate. If she was sitting here beside me, she would say that.
Yeah.
When we have that kind of relationship now, where that is not me, like, saying, not taking ownership for my own crap, but it was hard. We almost broke up. Mm-hmm. And I think if people are really being honest and true and vulnerable in today's day and age, that happens to most people.
Yeah.
I think at some point.
Right.
And it was literally like, I remember where I was. I remember I was in my closet and everything came out. And I was just like, this is the hardest night of my life. I just remember like I was going to see a therapist of like, just for my own stuff and like my own baggage from when I was a kid and all this stuff, and my own, just like trying to be a better communicator and better in my marriage and not being such a, like an idiot male that doesn't feel for his wife and treat her like the best. And I'm not saying anything like, I've never been physical or anything like that. I'm just saying like, just not present,
not compassionate.
I don't want anybody to think like anything too crazy either.
Yeah, no.
But like, I'm saying a lot of this stuff is normal, that a lot of people just live their life this way. But anyway, I remember that night, and I remember thinking, my therapist told me to be vulnerable and open, and then just let it, if she chooses to be with you, great. If she chooses not to, then that's her choice.
Yeah.
And I was like, after that night, I was like, why the freak did I listen to him? If I would have just kept going the same way, and we would have worked it out. I look back and I'm like, it was the best advice he ever could have given me, because it created a new baseline where we could create a real relationship from scratch. And what happened was, because I was vulnerable in that moment, and she now can trust me more, and vice versa, because she still chose to be with me.
Yeah.
And that's why I get a little bit emotional about it, and why I feel like she's my best friend. I've always felt like she's my best friend. I got lost in the go make money, go build me, my empire, I. It was all about me, and why don't you realize how, like, she'd be, frustrated, and I'd come home and I want her attention, or it was me again, and I'd be like, don't you realize how hard I work, and how much I do for the family, and like, don't you see it? I guarantee every male listening to this can probably relate to that at some point, but that was
Let's face it, a lot of women can too. A lot of women do the same things. They're just better at hiding it emotionally. But I think when you're talking, about that, the thing that I think is powerful is, I've talked a lot about having a servant mentality. We can still go make a lot of money, but it's, why are we doing it? We can still go stay physically fit, but why are we doing it? We can still be, strong men with compassion, but why are we wanting to be strong men? And the reason why you're doing it changes the way that you respond to situations, right? It changes how you feel about it, which changes other people's response. If you push somebody, naturally they're going to push back. Right. If you pull somebody, naturally they're going to pull away. So I think in our relationships, it's wise for us to remember that if we're doing things out of a servant mentality, the way that our spouses or our kids or our friends or business partners, the way they respond to it is so much different, and I think, I don't know, it sounds to me like you're kind of learning those things, because it's not like you say, oh, well, I was just focused on making money and it wasn't good for my relationship, so I should stop making money. No, that's stupid.
Yeah,
right?
Stupid. That's not at all, yeah.
But if we can do it out of servant mentality, I want to provide my family a better life, but I want to be a great man. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great father. And I want to do that so I can make my kids feel more special. I can make my wife understand that I love her and appreciate her. Yeah. But by doing that, I have to be the best example for me to be able to serve them, right? Yeah. And it's just such a different perspective, where a lot of men I see, they do things like they want to be in great shape so they feel good. They want to be financially successful so they feel good about themselves when they're driving a nice truck or a nice car or living in a nice neighborhood. And it's for them rather than for me. I want my kids living in a safe neighborhood. I want my kids to ride their bikes around the neighborhood, and I know they're safe. And I can choose any neighborhood I want, and I have the financial resources to put them anywhere I want to put them so that they're safe. But Brandon's heard me say it a million times. For me, a house is just a box. Yeah. I don't really care where it's at, as long as my kids and my family are happy there. It's awesome. So it's powerful to hear you talk about it like that, man.
It is, man. And you're saying, man, our marriage almost, I think there's, like you say, most marriages probably do end for various reasons. They're all different. But, one of the things that I'd like to maybe hear from you on this too is just, obviously your wife was very good through all of this that you were going through. And I know in my situation, I would assume it's probably similar to yours, where my wife was always supportive of me. Like, you do what you got to do, you go, right? Like almost to a fault, to where she didn't use her voice. So I just was overbearing, overzealous, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Thinking I was doing everything right, thinking I was showing her. And it wasn't until years later when she kind of had an awakening for whatever reason of, hey, I'm not like, this isn't going to work if we keep going this way. And it wasn't like nothing major was going on, but there was just a point where she's like, I've got to figure this out. And so she started to work on herself and find her voice. Right.
Yeah.
And then she started to change and to challenge me. And I'm going, who are you?
Yeah.
You're not who I married, And at first I was like ticked about it. I was, and it caused a big riffle for a while because my ego was going, wait a minute, you just need to be, you're not who I married, which that's the point, right? We're not supposed to be married to the same person we married back when we married him. We're all supposed to evolve and grow. So anyway,
Yeah, it's like, you think I work this hard to stay the same?
Yeah.
No way.
So today, I mean, I'm so grateful that she has done that. And because now it's challenging, Jeff and I were talking about this yesterday, it's challenging me big time right now, just still. And it's a challenge all the time because I want to raise to that level of, I guess, humility and meekness, because meekness is strength, right? Yeah. And under control. And I have strength that's not under control, so I'm not always meek, right? And so I'm working on that. But anyway, I don't know if that helps you with. I'd like to hear kind of how your wife was through all this. If it was similar, if that's. I think there's so many situations like this, and marriages are going to end unless the men go, dude, I got to flip and wake up, right? And maybe sometimes it's the women too. It's not always.
Yeah, it definitely takes both. I think that as I listen to your story, I mean, I'm impressed, dude, because a lot of guys just give up, right, because of their egos. And it's cool to hear that you were willing to humble yourself. You sought help. You had a therapist, which most people aren't willing to do that. So
I didn't want to, for the record. Yeah, I didn't. I felt it was like that's the last thing that I want to do. It's awkward. I don't want to tell a story. Whatever.
It's like a life coach, though, right? If you want to get in good
exactly
shape,
what I
you're
call
a personal trainer.
Yeah. I usually don't say therapist. People ask me if what are you doing at 5? Well, I'm going to my life coach.
Yeah. Right. And you should, right? If you want to succeed in anything, you should have a coach in that thing, For sure. So it's cool that you did that, and then obviously you guys have come to a place where now you can thrive. But yeah, talk to us a little bit. How was your wife during that situation? And
so my wife is my biggest supporter, and she's always kind of been that way, and that's one of the things that I love about her. Now it's just way better because I don't take advantage of it. So yeah, I mean, I think growing up in sports, you're competitive, you grind, you want to get better, get bigger. But the problem when you're doing it all on your own and you're not doing it as a family and you're not on the same page, is then you go off on your own and then you don't have any support up for things that can get you off, derail you or get you off track. And so I call it that as an acronym that I like to use. It's BLAST. And I add one last thing to it, but BLAST, bored, lonely, angry, stressed, and tired. And then the one that I add to it is hungry. So those are all compromised states for us as men and for women. But for me, my biggest one is stress. So if you think about it, like we're all trying to keep homeostasis. Our brains are trying to stay like at the same baseline of dopamine, oxytocin, whatever, like keep levels the same. Even like our heart rate tries to, everything's trying to stay baseline.
Yep.
So the problem with a lot of addictions or a lot of things that you do that you don't want to do, and it's the whole spread. It's addiction could be your phone.
Could be food.
It could be up on the list in people's eyes, whatever. But it's still something that you don't want to do or you would rather be doing something else. Mm-hmm. It doesn't serve you, I think is the best way to put it.
Yep.
So your brain makes this new baseline, and some things cause you to have a huge dopamine hit, which is addictive. And so then you kind of go through this self-sabotaging cycle, right? Where it's like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I swore I'd never do that again. And then you kind of like go and like tell your wife, and she's like, oh, like, have a crying session. You self-sabotage because but then you work through it, and then you're like, oh, I love you so much. And now you have this huge spike again in like dopamine and love and oxytocin. And then you get through the cycle, and some people cycles every day. Some it's every week. Some it's every month. Some it's every other month. But you self-sabotage when you're looking for that hit. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I found myself going to therapy, or the life coach helped me realize that I was self-sabotaging. I was just looking for a dopamine hit. And I think most men, I'm just speaking for men.
Yeah.
I think we're just seeking those hits when we're feeling bored, lonely, angry, stressed, tired, or hungry.
Good.
And so if we can recognize when we're feeling one of those 6 things and catch it before it gets to a point where you go self-sabotage, then you can when you feel like, oh, I'm helpless, how do I ever stop doing what I'm not trying to do? Catch it before you get in those states, because then you can keep that baseline. And the secret to getting a new baseline when you've been here is time away from that. Then you can regulate that baseline. So that's a lot of it. I think it all boils down to emotional, not intelligence, but like maturity.
Yeah.
For men.
Yeah.
We're just emotionally immature.
Yeah.
We're built that way.
I think it's learning how to manage pleasure, right? We naturally want to seek pleasure, and pleasure just doesn't lead to the virtuous. There's virtue versus pleasure, right? And the virtuous things, if we seek that, I can't remember how the quote was, but you shared it with me about a month ago. But if we're seeking, I can't remember how it goes, but seeking virtue, it's fulfilling. It lasts. Pleasure is a hit, dopamine hit, basically, and that's all it is, right? And then we need more
from meditations, right? Is that what you're talking
yes.
about? Yeah. I was going to see if I could find it real quick. But yeah, I mean, the fact is, it's like Tony Robbins, right? In the book Awaken the Giant, he talks about humans are always trying to avoid pain and seek pleasure. And so what is that pleasure? And if you can get to a place where you know, something that hurts or is uncomfortable. This is why I love fitness, right? I don't know if, you know, a lot of men have stress. Well, there's a lot of studies showing that if we can lift heavy things, then our baseline stress goes dramatically down because we've put ourselves in a stressful situation. Mm-hmm. So when we actually end up in a stressful situation, business, family, something like that, that the more stressful we produce in the gym, the less stressful situations in our life become. And a lot of people don't realize that. And it's not necessarily just the gym. It's actually putting ourselves in a hard situation, facing it, but it's something positive. So it's replacing this negative habit that we've all had, right? We've all done it, whether it's somebody drinking too much or, you know, I lived in Las Vegas for 10 years and I had to start everybody outside of my office be smoking weed, you know? It's like, are you serious? And they don't understand why they're not successful. And it's because you're taking this habit, right, and trying to reduce this whatever stress or anxiety or, you know, those 6 things you just used, those great ways to describe them. And so they're choosing a bad habit to try to suppress that rather than choosing a good habit to replace what normally they would have used with a bad habit. I mean, gambling. We're just in Las Vegas. And I go, do people really book rooms to come sit here and push buttons on a freaking game all weekend knowing they're going to lose their money? And to me, it's like, my son goes, Dad, what are those? You know, I go, oh, those are games where you put your money in it and never gives it back. You know? He's like, that sounds dumb. I go, it is. It is the dumbest thing in the world to do, right? But people do it. And why do we do these things? I don't know. It's the way God made us. But learning how to control those situations are very powerful. You know, and I wrote down here, you know, pain versus pleasure. It's like if we can get good at the things, you know, that bring us pain. It's like working out brings us pain. Swallowing our pride brings us pain. But if we get better at those, then we can learn to be more humble. We can learn to be stronger, man. If we get better at making money, at first it's uncomfortable. We think we got to work all these hours. We constantly have to be working, but we get better at it. We get better at that skill. Eventually we can make more money in less time, and we have less stress, anxiety. We have less need to feel like we have to prove ourselves. All these things. We can become better men if we're willing to face those things that cause us pain, right? Yeah. And I don't know.
Dude, I think that's so good though, Jeff. Like I think you nail it on the head when you say like you choose pain. Sure. And I think I'm sure you guys do the ice baths probably or have or
every day.
Whatever. Every day. Cool. So like ice baths for me, somebody asked me one time like, well, why would you do that, dude? Like why would you go and sit in cold water? I'm like, well, throw away the health benefits. It's just choosing to do something hard that you don't really want to do.
Yep. And
I feel like if I do that, then it makes other decisions easier. And I noticed the first time I ever did an ice bath, it was like, oh, I'm like way slow.
Painful.
Like getting in there slow. Yeah. And then now it's just like, you're full send it. Like you're all the way in and you're there and you do your time and you get out, whatever. And I just think that this point, a lot of people say how you do one thing is how you do everything. Yep. I don't like that. How you do one thing that you care about is how you do everything that you care about. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's a little different. Yeah. It makes you think more like, where's my intention going?
Yeah.
And so,
what do you place value on?
What do you place value on? Absolutely. So if you could get good at doing the hard things about the things that you care about, if you're bottlenecked in your business and there's something that you know it's what your bottleneck is, and it's like the painful, I don't want to deal with that. I don't have time, or I don't want to make that higher, whatever it is. It's like everything that you care about, if you can just push through that pain, it will eventually lead to break that bottleneck in your business or in your marriage or in your personal self-development, whatever it is. Yep. So I love that. Choose the pain, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so
just
good.
Run to it.
So good.
It's awesome.
So I think maybe, I know we got to probably end this vertically because
sorry.
we've had no. We can talk all day.
Yeah,
but we try not to go too long because the listeners can only take so much at a time. So many good things at once, right? But I would like to just I know purpose is something that you're big on. You got to have a purpose, right? And you do real estate. You got storage sheds. You've got whatever else you do with your businesses. Are you passionate about those things, or are you passionate about something else that drives you with those things? Or maybe just talk about a little bit, maybe purpose, or how does somebody find a purpose if they're looking for one, or if they don't have one, what do they do to find one?
I like it. So going back to
I asked some of these questions for me, by the way. So just so you know, I'm a little bit selfish. I like to figure this stuff out too. So.
My purpose, simple as, is help men become better men and help women become better women, period. That's my purpose in life. And I found that over time from probably trace back to that explosion, honestly. Like, I feel like a lot of good things have come through that pain and the growth and all the crap that I had to go through. And still work on and grow through, right? But that's my purpose. Like, I really truly feel inside, like, I just genuinely want to help men become better men and women better women.
So whatever you do is to do that. And then what are some ways that you do that?
To help?
Yeah. Obviously doing what you're doing today is a big one.
So yeah, and Mal knows too. And I'm going to have, if you guys are willing, I'd love to have you on my podcast, but I'm starting my own. And just to be able to get that message across more. 6 months ago, I started investing in a guy that comes over every Tuesday. His name's Ty Jordan, lives here in town. You guys might know him. Mm-hmm. So we just pump out content every Tuesday, same day, same time, pump it out to get my voice out, because I feel like one of the things I say a lot to people is your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yes.
But if you never vibe, you're never going to get your tribe.
Right.
Good.
So you've got to get it out. You got to get your voice out. If you're passionate about stuff and you feel like you have a purpose, whatever that purpose is, get it out. We live in a world where you can be whatever you want to be. And it's so much faster getting there, because all you got to do is post it on social media for a couple of weeks and everybody sees you as that. Like, if you start posting all this stuff about I'm hanging around NASA and pictures of you in a spacesuit and all, everybody's going to be like, oh, Jeff's the astronaut, like,
Yes.
it's so easy. But sometimes we stop ourselves because we think that we have to have a calling.
Yeah.
Or we're waiting for the calling from God to do it.
Wow. No.
Just do it if that's what you want to do. And maybe you don't know if you want to do, but just go take action.
Eric,
I love that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you bring a ton of value. Like, I've learned a ton from you just being here today. This is our first time we've met.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I love that about what we're doing, right? Because I get to meet people like you, and you're doing that. And so I think that, I don't know if you've recognized that, and that's why your vibe attracts your tribe, and you got to get your vibe out there. But there's no question, the value you're putting out there, everybody needs to be listening to it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm going to be promoting it, and I love that.
It's like this, dude. Like when you're sitting there saying that, Eric, it's like so many people, they're waiting for this calling in life. Like, man, I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And they're miserable where they're at because they're always thinking of what else they should be doing rather than winning in what they're doing. Because really, that's what God wants you. I always say this: God doesn't care what you do as long as you glorify Him while you're doing it, right? And how if you're half-assing it, how can you glorify God if you're giving it half of what you got? Nobody looks at that and goes, "I'm inspired," right? Or I want to get closer to God because they're giving it half of the effort, right? But if you're giving it everything you have, regardless of where you're at, you're going to move forward in anything you're doing. And then when people start seeing you have success and they go, what is it? Like, what changed you? What? And then it allows you, for me, I always want to have that conversation. Like, I'll tell you the secret, right? The secret is not a secret. It's Jesus Christ saved my life. And this is why, this is how it happened. But you never get to that conversation until somebody sees you having success or giving it your all. And so you see so many people change careers. I'm sure you're in real estate right now. You see people leaving the business. You see people leaving other careers and they join something else. Like, they're trying to find themselves, but they don't realize they were where they were. And if they would give it their all there, that then they could start having influence, and then they could start changing people's lives. Then they can start inspiring other people. And let's face it, you're here today because you've been winning in business, right? And we know that because we live in a small town and, hey, this dude's crushing it. But then we find out, hey, he's not just winning in business. He's winning in business because he's winning as a man.
Exactly.
You know?
I was going to say that's why you're winning in business.
Yes.
And that's why business. I love that. Right. There are people that win in business that aren't winning in their family life, but
that isn't success.
It's not success, and you can tell.
Yeah, you have to build the businessman before you build the business plan, right?
Yeah.
I say that all the time. If you fail to build the businessman before you build the business plan, then you're going to be, if your money is an amplifier.
It's awesome.
So if you're a crackhead, or you're an idiot, I'll just say it. I was going to say a 4-letter word, but my mom's probably watching, so I'm not going to say it. If you're an idiot with money or without money, you're going to be more of an idiot with money. And there's plenty of those people. You don't have to be a great guy to have money. And that's something that I've had to learn.
Yeah.
But it's going to wreck your life.
Yep.
And that's why I think you have to focus on build the businessman before you build the business plan.
Yeah.
And if you'll just build the businessman, the business plan will take care of itself. Would you
exactly.
agree?
And then when you get the money, you'll do more good with it, and you'll amplify. And it kind of goes back to, you kind of brought up God, Jesus. One of my favorite scriptures is the parable of the talents. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a scriptorian, I wouldn't say, but the way that I understand it is Jesus gives talents to people, like I call them like coins almost, right? And it's like one hit it under a bushel and the other one doubled it, the other one tripled it, quadrupled it. To each one that amplified it, he said basically, good job. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm proud of you. And the only person that he said, like, you're slothful and unfaithful and like you're basically lukewarm and spit you out, was the guy who didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. So when I hear everything that we're talking about, I think it's so important to recognize, look, my best in something, you could be better at that same thing, but it's still my best.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe it's only 2 talents and not 3. Maybe you could do 3 and you could do 4. But do your best with what you can do. Yes. Build yourself. And it's all about just trying to be the best version of you. It's UVU.
Yep.
Right? But when I see people like you that are hustling, I think there's like this thought of, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Like that competition of, like, I see like something that you guys are doing in your business and the levels that you're reaching. And it's like, I think one of my superpowers is I'm not jealous.
Right.
I go, man, that's so cool. How are you doing that? Yeah. Because if you can do it, I truly believe that I can too in some capacity, but it's still me v me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think I love that. I was just talking to my son. My son's 8, and I was just talking to him about reputation. He's on a soccer team, and I'm like, look, I want you to be the hardest working kid out there. And he's like, Dad, I'm already the best player on my team. I go, it's not important for you to be the best player or the worst player. What's important is for you to have a reputation of being the hardest working kid out there. Because if you have a reputation, then the coach wants to play you. Right? The coach wants to say, we need him on the field. Why? Because he'll outwork everybody. And even if he's not the best player, they want to play you more. And if you play more, you get more playing time, then you become better. Yep. But your reputation is, I'm going to give it my all for the team. And I think whether it's in business or whether in our marriages or whatever, it's like we don't want to have a positive reputation just saying, oh, I care about my reputation more than anything, just to care about it. It's like, hey, I want to be this stand-up man. And I want my wife to know, I've talked about it a million times, like if I make a commitment to something, I want my wife to know that I'm going to fulfill that commitment. So she knows I'm going to fulfill the commitment I made to her too.
That you're going to do the things you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do them.
Yes, awesome. Right? And that's reputation. That's really what it builds.
That's a true mark of a man.
Yes.
If you're a real man, you do the things you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do them. And a lot of it is just for ourselves.
Yep.
Amen.
But for your wife too, absolutely.
Makes you feel confident. Yep. And then it starts building this reputation. And then it makes it easier to do business with people. It makes it easier to have great friends. Yep. Why? Because they know who you are.
Opportunities start coming to you, right?
Yep.
You're a magnet for sure.
Yeah. People can predict, oh, this is how they're going to react. This is how they're going to respond. And it's such a blessing. And that's why I've always said losers make losing look easy and winners make winning look easy, right? Yeah. And it's because of that reputation. It's like, oh, you know how they're going to respond to whatever situation, right?
Yeah, so true.
It's awesome, dude. You're a stud, man. I'm
so good, man.
Thanks. It's been fun. You guys are too, yeah.
This is awesome.
I know.
It's a good one, dude.
We could go for like another hour.
It's one of my favorites. We've done 30 plus. Is definitely one of my very, very favorites.
This is 41.
Is it we 40s?
42.
42. Wow. All right.
42, man.
Jackie Robinson, 42.
There we go.
Big deal.
Is that Jackie?
Yeah. I think so.
We got a baseball player in here. That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming on today, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for opening up.
You,
and being vulnerable for a minute. It's awesome. It's going to help a lot of people, dude.
Cool.
No doubt.
I hope so.
Yep. Thank you.